When did the physical and emotional trauma of certain celebrities become so funny?
If it wasn't for Tony, oh.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. As you can tell by the title, this topic is going to be a little bit more out there than my usual ones, but this is something I also always wanted to talk about, but you know, it never felt like the right time. But recently I seen a tweet where I was like, it's about that time. And just a heads up, y'all know how YouTube is with certain topics, certain words, so I'm going to use some abbreviations and some keywords in here just so YouTube won't, you know, because YouTube is really sensitive nowadays. So go along with me, y'all should know. So in the past few days, past few years, honestly, I've been seeing a lot of different tweets regarding certain celebrities and their hardships and what they went through. Specifically black celebrities, specifically, you know, our black legends, our black icons in the music industry. And you know, everything is not so peachy clean, everything is not so glitz and glamour with celebrities. They all go through hardships. And, you know, those are the things that make for great documentaries and great stories, to say like, oh, okay, I'm rich and famous, but I also went through this, I also went through that, but look how I overcame it, or not, right? But I've noticed over the last few years, especially in this social media era, since social media became a big thing and it's becoming bigger, there's been a thing where certain traumas that certain celebrities go through become humor. It turns into a meme, it becomes a joke. And I'm gonna break this down with 4 different celebrities. I'm pretty sure there's way more, but there's 4 celebrities I really want to break down. Tina Turner, Aaliyah, Michael Jackson, and Whitney Houston. Now, starting off with Tina Turner, I'm pretty sure most of us, and not even only in the black community, we've seen her movie, What's Love Got to Do With It, from 1993, right? In that movie, it shows her rise from a child to the big, famous legend, superstar, icon that she became, and she still is. She was larger than life, but then we know it was that moment in her career, right, where she was with Ike. And Ike and Tina, they were huge too, but she became bigger as a solo artist. But within that relationship and partnership with Ike, there was a lot of physical trauma she went through. And there's many scenes, if you saw the movie, you already know. And y'all know it's that one scene where she has on a white outfit and they have to fight in the limo. Then they go to the hotel and her face is all messed up and everything, and he just goes to take a nap. She's in the mirror looking at her face, and she's like, she finally makes that decision to run and escape him. And it's that whole thing where she's going through the lobby, the man calls her and she runs across the street to the other hotel, and she's basically running for her life. That scene right there is a pivotal scene for the movie. And imagine how vulnerable Tina Turner was to share that for the movie. Imagine how vulnerable she felt watching that. And of course, it's a movie, it's Hollywood. They exaggerate some things for the effect of it being a movie, right? Because not to say that happened verbatim, but that's a part of her story. Tina Turner was a part of the movie. She approved it. Everything was what it was. That part was a pivotal part. She was basically, like I said, running for her life. But so many years later, that scene has become a meme. It's become a joke. Believe it or not, that scene alone has become a Halloween costume. Yes, I've seen maybe 2-3 years ago, there was like multiple people that dressed up in a white outfit and they was running all through the bushes and running, and they'll run through a hotel, run through the street. And y'all know that part where she's in the middle of the street and she almost gets hit by a car and everything like that? And like, that's somebody's Halloween outfit. That traumatic experience from the movie about Tina Turner's life and her relationship with Ike, that's become such a joke and a meme. And I'm like, just look at this. every time I see that, I'm like, of all the iconic moments Tina Turner had, from her stage performances to her music videos, you know, from the hair and the jean jacket and just the iconic moments she's had in her life, to be her for Halloween or to recreate for a social media post, you're gonna choose the moment in the movie where she was essentially running for her life? It's like, wow. And then you notice this is within the black community. It's like a lot of people in the black community have this thing with trauma where it's like, you know, turn your trauma into a joke, turn your trauma into humor, finding the humor in trauma. And it goes back to, like, this is not for everybody, but you know, in the black community, right, where, you know, some parents beat their kids, right? And it was like and some people, it's like a generational trauma thing where you get older, you have your own kids, people be like, oh, I never lay a finger on my kids because of what I went through, right? Not me, I'm just saying, you hear this all the time. But then some people be like, oh, my parents did this and that, and I turned out fine. But it's like, that doesn't mean it was okay. So it's just like turning traumatic experiences into jokes or humor, or, you know, reliving or emphasizing a generational trauma onto your own kids because of what you went through. It's just like, oh, you know, that's black people, that's what we go through. It's like, that doesn't mean it's okay. So for people now, all these years later, movie came out basically 30 years ago, all these people finding the humor in it. And it's like, some people will be like, oh, this is not funny. But then these same memes and tweets and jokes of people recreating that will go viral. TikTok, Instagram, you know, you got Shade Room, all these things reposting it, and they gaining a following just from doing skits like that. I'm like, wow, you made a skit out of that when Tina Turner had so many iconic moments. And then people wonder why Tina Turner left for Europe. I think she's in Switzerland now. People wonder why she left, and like, she doesn't really acknowledge the black community, as some people like to say. Same thing happened with like Josephine Baker back in like the 20s or the 30s. She left for Europe and she was doing her own thing in Europe. And here's the thing, this is obviously, you know, there's racism in Europe, especially against black people, right? Even though there's black people living in Europe, there's racism that black Americans face in Europe too. But as odd as it is, in some ways, they feel more accepted overseas than they are in America. You know what I'm saying? They won't have to face certain traumatic experiences in other countries, internationally, like they would in America. It's a crazy paradox when you think about it. You know, being an American black artist that rose to fame, right? You would think that your own people would accept you and support you and love you in the best ways possible. But this is not for everybody. But it's just like, they go internationally, they go to different countries, different continents, they won't have to deal with certain traumas that come from their own people. There is the racism and everything, but, you know, Josephine Baker did it back in the day. Tina Turner did it. I think she's still in Switzerland. She only comes to America when she gets an award, she gets an honor. But other than that, she on her flight back to Switzerland in her mansion with her husband. So it's just interesting to think about. And it's like, why is that? Going back to Tina Turner's story, there's a scene in the movie with Ike, played by Lawrence Fishburne, where, you know, it's that scene in the studio where she's singing and he's like, oh, you gotta get the song right. Like, she's not singing the song right for him. And it's this face he makes. Y'all watch the movie? Y'all know what happens in the scene, the traumatic experience that happens in the scene. And according to some sources, that scene was kind of fabricated, but still, knowing that this could have potentially happened, that little picture of Ike Turner looking like that, that's become a meme and a joke. Knowing what could have potentially happened, even though it was said to be fabricated, it's like, wow, people use that as like a, you know, as a reaction pic or a meme pic. I'm like, wow. And then when you look at the movie, you know what scene that's from. It's like,
the lowest is what? 0.
Now, moving on to Aaliyah. Y'all already know where this is gonna go. And this has to do with Aaliyah and the traumatic experiences she went through in that first era, her first album. And nowadays, you know, that trauma being something different, where it's like, you know, the age difference and like just the victim blaming that goes on. And the, oh yeah, she was fast. Oh yeah, she knew what she was doing. Oh yeah, she was 15. Look at 17. She was 17. Oh, I always thought that Aaliyah was like 21 when she was actually 17. This is like, oh, she was forced to grow up so fast. And it's like people take that as like a, oh well, she knew what it was. She knew what she was doing. I was like, do y'all remember when y'all was 15 years old? Do y'all remember when y'all was 14 and 15? Right? I mean, I don't. Just, if you have to, think back to when y'all was that age and all the things that happened to y'all, if anything. Now take becoming famous and being a big star and having your songs on the radio and this and that and everything that happened with that situation with RK. You know who RK is. And all the trauma that she still went through. Right? And then she overcame it with her next few albums and her career and everything that happened. But now, to see over the last few years, even to this present day, people still taking it lightly as like a, please, she know what she was doing. Oh my God. I see a lot of black men perpetuating that stereotype or that perspective that, oh, she was for everybody. Or she was this. She was passing around. Or she was. It's like her trauma is not taken seriously. It's like, oh, she was a big star. She knew what she was doing. Oh, her parents just wanted her to become famous. She wanted to become famous. Oh, they used him for a come up. That type of attitude about it. When you have the R. Kelly documentaries, all the 8, 9, 10 parts that came out about that, not even just Aaliyah's story, all the other stories that went along with it. And you still have people that will watch all parts of it and be like, they knew what they was doing. Oh, the parents wanted to. Now, whatever perspectives you have against the parents wanting this to happen, or it's like you have to realize, like I said earlier, that still was not okay. And now it's like, even now I've seen where people be like, oh, I can't even listen to this Aaliyah song because all I think about is RK or what she went through. Or it's like even the music that she didn't even do with him, like her 1 in a Million era, her self-titled era, Are You That Somebody, Try Again. That era of music, people still be like, oh, I can't even listen to her because all I think about is, I'm like, and even, y'all know I made the video last week about the Aaliyah movie. I'm gonna leave it up here and I'm gonna leave it in the description about how terrible that Lifetime movie was they made for her. Really, check it out. I made a whole video about it. One of the major reasons why that movie was terrible was because they focused so much on the Aaliyah and RK storyline, right? Now the movie is called Aaliyah, the Princess of R&B. So basically you want to learn about Aaliyah, her life, and what made her get the title of Princess of R&B. What she had to go through in the music industry, you know, with her singles and her music and everything that she did as a trendsetter to become the icon she is now. But y'all spent 60% of the movie talking about the relationship, where it's like, nobody watching that movie will ever know how iconic Aaliyah was and what she did for music with her producers and her singing style and her fashion style. Nobody watching that movie will ever know why she became the Princess of R&B, because all they focus on is the relationship between her and RK from that first album era. And it's like, that's all people tend to focus on. It's like, you know, she gets a movie or a documentary. Of course, that's a major part of her story. That's a major part of her life. That's going to have to come up. Like, you can't ignore that if you want to make a legitimate story. But that's not the most important part of her story. There's more to Aaliyah's story than that. There's more worth telling than that part of her life and career. And you know another thing I realized when it comes to celebrities, because I get it, certain celebrities are placed on a pedestal and people see them as larger than life, and of course, like I said, they have these extraordinary careers, but at the end of the day, they're still humans. They still have problems, they still have vices, they still have things that they have to overcome in their life, right? But because they're celebrities, right, some people see it as like, oh, they're rich and famous. It's like a kind of like a, I don't want to say a jealousy thing, but some people see it like, well, oh, they're rich and famous, they'll get over it. You know, even like the traumatic experiences they go through, it's like, oh, they got money. Oh, well, because I remember a long time ago, reading up on Aaliyah and everything that happened at that time when she first passed. And there was a forum. There used to be a thing where you could look at some old forums from back in the day. And this is like a day or two after she passed, like August 27th, 2001. There was this forum, and I was able to look back at it. And a lot of people was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Oh my God. Oh my God, did y'all hear what happened to Aaliyah? Da da da. Then there was a few comments where I remember it was just one person that was like, mind you, this is 2 days after she passed. Not 20 years, 2 days after she passed. And this one guy was like, oh, y'all crying for Aaliyah? If y'all died, she wouldn't care about y'all. And I was like,
oh my God.
Like, even back then, people had that mentality of like, oh, well, she's a celebrity. Like, even in death, you couldn't even sympathize with her or sympathize for her and everyone that was on that flight with her entourage. Because it's like, oh, she was a celebrity. Like you thought that because she was a celebrity, like, her death was like, I mean, well, she was famous. She had money. I mean, what you want us to do? Like, Aaliyah was famous. Of course, you're going to have millions of people like, oh my God. You think Aaliyah going to know millions of people? It don't work like that. She's a celebrity. She's not going to know the millions of people that unfortunately pass away every day or every year. I'm pretty sure if she was to know that, you know, she knew any fans or anybody that passed away, she would feel some type of sadness. But she's a celebrity. She's in the limelight. Of course, you're going to have the millions of people mourning her. This reverse psychology where the guy was basically saying like, oh, Aaliyah wouldn't cry over you if you died, so why are you crying over her? And it's like, wow, like, because she's a celebrity or because there's certain celebrities that have certain notoriety or certain fame or certain wealth, like, they're not worth to even mourn or to feel sympathy for. Let's unpack why. Now I'm moving on to Michael Jackson. And with Michael Jackson, there's so many different angles I can take this conversation in. But let's start with, of course, like the psychological conversations of like how his looks changed over the years. And of course, you know, you see his Thriller album cover, and then you saw his Bad album cover, and then you see Invincible album cover, and it's like, wow, it's a transformation. And imagine living in real time, seeing like Thriller Michael to I'm Bad Michael. You're like, wow, like, what is he doing? And of course, Michael Jackson kept it a secret at that time. Like, nobody really knew what was going on, but people could see over the last 3, 4, 5 years, it's like, how did his skin get so light? Or how did his nose change? Or how did this? And it's a psychological thing. Of course, he had vitiligo, he had lupus, he had all these things, right? But there's the other side where it's like, he did change certain things because of ideals that was put in his head, because of his father and certain traumatic experiences he went through as a child. And that starts with the physical trauma his father put him and his brothers through, right? Even as an adult, Michael Jackson had a hard time talking about it.
He practiced us with a belt in his hand. Not only were we practicing, we were nervous rehearsing. Why do you do this to me?
You would vomit.
Mm-hmm.
What would produce that sort of reaction in you?
His presence.
Michael Jackson was like in his 40s at that time. He still had a hard time even discussing it. Because even as an adult, certain memories, certain trauma from your childhood, it always follows you, even into adulthood. And that's a life, and that's a pain that 95% of people will never know. You know? And a lot of people say, oh, y'all using it as an excuse. He should have never did this. He should have never did that. Okay, you can say that. But like I said, that's a trauma that most people will never know. So it's like now in 2022, 2023, even over the last few years on social media, I've seen people make light of that. Or even in his, do you know the movie, the Jackson movie? The Jacksons, The American Dream, the series that comes on VH1 every other month. Y'all know those certain movies that are household staples, you know, black household staples that come on VH1 every other month. You know, the Tina Turner movie, the Jacksons, The American Dream, you got the Temptations, those type of movies that come on all the time. And y'all know it's that part where they're younger and you see the father chasing with a belt or hitting them with a switch and doing all type of stuff to really whip them into shape. That's the thing with Joe Jackson, whipping his kids into shape to mold them into the superstars that they became in the Jackson 5 and the Jacksons. And then eventually Michael Jackson going solo, becoming the worldwide famous juggernaut artist, icon, legend, superstar that he became. Now you have people that will still make fun of Michael Jackson's looks, or still make fun of, like, you know, towards the later end of his life, and in the 2000s era, like, you know, when he wore those certain like silky wigs, people be like, oh, people use his face as like a jump scare. Or you have this was a little trend I seen where people had a Michael Jackson phobia, where people were scared of Michael Jackson and how he looked, and even lookalikes, where people would film, like, you know how around the world there's a lot of Michael Jackson impersonators. They'll be filmed, like somebody will film their friend next to a Michael Jackson impersonator, like, oh my God, look how scared she is. And then you see the girl like, oh, like she can't look at the impersonator of him because she's so scared of how he looked. And it's like, wow, really? Really?
Could somebody please make it make sense?
Then you have people making fun of like the whole Joe Jackson thing, where it's like people use Joe Jackson as a joke in itself. Like, oh, I'm about to go Joe Jackson on this. Oh, I'm about to turn into Joe Jackson. Like, look at this. Like Joe Jackson and the trauma he put his kids through, including Michael, of course, that's used as some type of joke now. You know, like the black community, they like to take certain traumatic experiences of celebrities they saw in movies or they just know about through the celebrities telling it themselves, or documentaries, or things that's well known about trauma or vices that they went through. And they use that as humor and jokes. And I'm like, when did that become so funny? When did those certain things become so funny? Like the whole dark humor, I'll never be a fan of that. And I know you got the people that's like, oh, stop being sensitive, it's just a joke. Shut up! And you even have certain comedians, like famous comedians, that love that dark humor. But it's like, why? Of all the different jokes you can make, why make light and make fun of the trauma that certain celebrities went through? And it's like, why? It's because they're rich and famous. It's because, oh, Michael Jackson was the most famous man in the world at one point. This little joke not gonna do nothing. Oh, he passed away 13 years ago. This don't mean nothing. It's like, why? Now we move on to Whitney Houston.
I'm a survivor. What?
Amen. Hallelujah. Donna, Lynn, Pat, Lori, Shelly, Aaliyah, Rose, Brian, Darren, and Ulysses, thank you for holding down the fort. Hey, wait! That's mine. That's mine. Let me handle this. You better chill. You better lay low. That's it.
That clip I just showed y'all, that was from the 2001 BET Awards, where she came out to accept the award. And that's one of the major clips that always go viral on social media. And there's certain clips and certain segments of that clip that people use, and they don't use it in like a derogatory way to make fun of what she was going through. But I've seen many times where there'll be a picture or there'll be a clip of Whitney just having fun or doing this on a red carpet or award show or in an interview. And people, most of the time, black people, you'll see, oh yeah, she was high. Oh yeah, she was on that stuff. Oh yeah, she was high as a sky. She was high as a kite. Oh, her and Bobby was,
Hi, how are you? I'm fine. I'm going to another one and I'm going to...
Have fun in there.
Good to see you too.
Take care.
Anytime, any picture, any performance, any clip where Whitney is having fun or she's a little bit more energetic than usual, people would take that and be like, oh my God, she was. And it's like, shut up! Now, there's nothing wrong with acknowledging the hardships and the vices that certain celebrities went through, but it's like, when did that acknowledgement become a joke? When did it become an okay thing to acknowledge something, but then turn it into a joke, turn it into a meme. For what purpose? And then, of course, obviously, a lot of people find it funny because these things go viral. And I'm seeing it over and over again. Certain clips will go viral over and over again where people just, you know, taking the context of it and changing the type of joke that's made with it. And it's like, why? And you want to know why I really point this out when it comes to Whitney Houston? Because we all know the things that Whitney Houston went through, right? I don't even have to say it. Like I said, I gotta speak in code because YouTube is a little... We all know what Whitney Houston went through, even in her last days. But then, like I said before, you even have people making tub jokes. And then you think about an Amy Winehouse or like an Anna Nicole Smith and all the things that they went through in different traumatic experiences and different video clips. When you see their clips, you don't see no jokes with that. Or if there is, I haven't seen them, or they're not to the same degree. Or you'll see the reactions to it like, oh my God, this is so sad. Oh my God, look how Amy looks. Oh my God, I can't believe this. Oh, you shouldn't post this. This doesn't put her in the best light. Oh, I've seen many things like that. When it's Amy Winehouse or like Anna Nicole Smith, there's like sympathy for them. You know, all the comments is like, this is so sad. This is so sad to watch. But with Whitney, it's a free-for-all. It's like a, oh my God, she was high as the sky. Or you have people making head jokes. It's like the difference, the juxtaposition of it all, the contrast of it all is too noticeable for me not to say something. And I've seen these jokes for years on social media. And I know certain videos I do like this one, it might not get a lot of attention, but I just want to bring it to y'all attention to see, like, do y'all see these jokes? Do y'all understand where I'm coming from with this? Where it's like certain celebrities, especially black celebrities, our black icons, and traumatic experiences they went through, it's always meant as a joke. And I'm like, when did these traumatic experiences become a joke? I know it's like this is thing within the black community to take certain trauma and to make it, turn it into humor, because, you know, that's how people deal with it. You know, even Kevin Hart had that stand-up, Laugh at My Pain, where it's like you turn certain pain and traumatic experiences into laughter. You know, that's how people get over it. But it's like, we need to unpack why. You know, instead of discussing it, you know, so people can relate to it, it's like people turn it into jokes. And because it's celebrities, because they have money and power and fame, people don't really feel sympathy for them. And it's like, who cares? They passed how many years ago? Oh, this is not going to bother them. Oh, it's just a joke. Is this a joke? Is this a joke?
Shut up!
Why do you think it's okay to turn that traumatic experience into a joke for social media to get likes and clicks and follows? You know what I'm saying? And with that, I just want to hear y'all take on it. I can't wait to discuss this with y'all in the comments below to really get a sense of where do y'all think, or why do y'all think certain celebrity trauma is turned into jokes and humor? Like, let's really unpack that. I really can't wait to get this discussion started with y'all. And please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching and listening. I'll see y'all in the next video.